The heavy iron gates of the Sterling estate groaned open, but for 10-year-old Leo and his little sister, Maya, the sound wasn't welcoming, it was terrifying. They weren't there to ask for a donation or a job. They were there because they had nowhere else to go. Their clothes were wrinkled, their shoes were caked in dry mud, and Maya was clutching a tattered teddy bear as if it were a lifeline. When Arthur Sterling, a billionaire known more for his cold business tactics than his heart, looked out his study window, he didn't see charity cases, he saw a nuisance. But something about the way Leo stood, shoulders square, shielding his sister, made the old man pause. He walked to the front door, expecting a plea for money. Instead, he got a confession that would change his life. "Our mom kicked us out," Leo said, his voice cracking but his gaze steady. Arthur felt a flicker of annoyance, thinking of the deadbeat parent headlines he saw in the tabloids. He assumed it was a story of neglect or a mother choosing a boyfriend over her kids. He invited them in, mostly out of a rare spark of curiosity, and sat them down in a room filled with gold-leafed furniture that felt colder than the winter air outside. As they ate the first warm meal they'd seen in days, the story began to unspool. It wasn't a story of a mother who didn't love them, it was a story of a mother who loved them too much to let them watch her die in the dark. For months, their mother, Sarah, had been working 3 jobs to keep their small apartment. She was the kind of mom who turned off the lights and told them they were playing explorer to hide the fact that the electricity had been cut. She would skip dinner, claiming she'd eaten a massive lunch at work, just so they could have seconds. But then came the cough that wouldn't go away, and the diagnosis that flattened their world. Sarah had a degenerative condition, one that required expensive treatments she couldn't afford. The landlord, a man with a heart of stone, had given her an ultimatum: pay the back rent or leave. But Sarah knew that if she stayed, the state would eventually come for the kids when she could no longer stand. She didn't kick them out of cruelty, she staged a brave adventure to get them to the only person who could help, a man she had served coffee to every morning for 5 years, a man who never knew her name but whose life she had studied from a distance. Arthur listened, his tea growing cold. He realized Sarah hadn't abandoned them, she had spent her last ounce of strength walking them to his gate, knowing his reputation for being hard but fair. She believed that if he saw the potential in these children, he would protect them. That shocking reason wasn't a lack of love, but a calculated sacrifice. She had made herself the villain in their eyes for a day so they could have a future for a lifetime. She had told them, go to the man in the big house, tell him you're ready to work, and don't look back, because she didn't want them to see her collapse as the eviction notice was taped to the door. Deeply moved, Arthur didn't just write a check. He realized that his millions were hollow if they couldn't save a family that defined the very resilience he claimed to value in business. He drove the children back to their neighborhood, not to the apartment, but to the hospital where Sarah had finally been taken after collapsing on the sidewalk. The reunion was silent, filled with tears and the smell of antiseptic, but the atmosphere had shifted. Arthur used his influence to get her the best medical care in the country, and more importantly, he bought the apartment building, firing the landlord who had threatened them. Years later, the story of the Sterling kids became a legend in the city. Leo grew up to run Arthur's philanthropic wing, and Maya became a doctor, specializing in the very illness that nearly took her mother. They learned that sometimes, the hardest things people do to us are the greatest gifts they can give. The story serves as a powerful reminder that we never truly know the burdens others are carrying. Love isn't always a warm hug, sometimes, it's the strength to push someone toward a better life, even if it means breaking your own heart in the process. True wealth isn't found in a bank account, but in the courage to protect those who cannot protect themselves.